Good journey, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Space Oats podcast, a Crucial Crew podcast. I am the Crucial Crew member, and we're gonna finish up talking about the Mandalorian tonight. Let me just change my camera view here, get a little better view of me here. Get this off the other camera real quick. There we go. A lot better. So yeah, welcome. It's been a great day. If you kind of been following me on Instagram, I was at Galaxy's Edge this afternoon. I had a really nice chat, a little bit going live, coming home. Had a little surprise guest by that of Mike Emke of Wookiee Radio. Really awesome dude. If you've never listened to Wookiee Radio podcast, I recommend it. They've been doing it a lot longer than I have, so they're pretty awesome. I think he's got an episode they're going to be recording this week. I think they're going to be breaking down the Ahsoka trailer. I think he mentioned to me. So check that out, Wookiee Radio. I think you can listen to that on Spotify. I know of at least. So I'm sure they're out there that's where I listen to it anyway. I'm pretty sure that's where I listened to that one. I know I listened to some on different podcast channels, but I'm pretty sure I listen to his on Spotify because I think that's the most convenient for me for him. But yeah, great guys over there in Wookiee Radio, so check them out. But this week let's see, we're gonna talk about three main things. We're gonna break down the season finale of The Mandalorian, go over that a little bit, and maybe get an idea of where I think the series is going to go next for some of the characters. And you can tell me what you think with that. Also, I'm going to have my crucial character pick of the month. I am up to The Last Jedi, I believe, is going to be this one. Hopefully I didn't miss any, but I'm pretty sure if I'm staying on track, we're going to be looking at a character from episode 8, The Last Jedi. My favorite of the sequel trilogy. So I know a lot of people that's debatable for everybody, but that is my favorite. So, and I took a character from that movie that is not really in there all, but maybe a minute. I don't know. Not much screen time there at all for this character. So you'll get to find out who that is and a little bit of background on that character. And yeah, I always just pick these random characters that I think are interesting and that I want to either see more of, hear more of, learn a bit more about, maybe even get some merchandise on these characters. So, and then last but not least, we're gonna go through some different merchandise. I don't know if you saw my post a little while ago, something about a Wampa rug. That was kind of interesting, right? Yeah, what's the deal with that? Well, we're gonna go through some of my favorite, interesting little merchandise picks that I've seen over the years. Some crazy stuff that Star Wars has released as far as merchandising, and yeah, just some stuff that I think is kind of crazy and out there from over the years. And you tell me what you think. And yeah, if you have any additional ones that you'd like me to mention, maybe we'll see if we can't pull those up as well. But again, welcome to Space Oats. So again, Crucial Crew podcast. I am the Crucial Crew member, Jay. Tabuite, we are gonna get this started. So let me just take one little sip here, and then we're gonna go back and start talking about the Mandalorian. How about that? So the Mandalorian. Let me get up a nice little. How about that? Yeah, all right. Mandalorian season finale, chapter 24. Well, technically, how they titled the Mandalorian season is they title it Chapter 24, The Return. So curious to see what everybody thought of this one. Oh, look at that. Patrick is joining in. How you doing? Poor Ragnar. What? Yeah, so anyway, Mandalorian season 3 overall, Not my favorite season. I mean, I'm still enjoying The Mandalorian. Don't get me wrong, but season two was such a high and ended with such a high that it had so much going on in season two that I knew that season three was gonna be hard to top. I think there was a little bit left. It is hard to compete with season two. See, Patrick agrees with me. Season three was just kind of all over the place for me. And I think at the end it was just a little bit too little too late for me with the end of the series. Um, but there was a lot of cool stuff in the last part of the series, and even though there was a good closing, I think it opens the door for some other things going down the road, which I'll get into in a minute. But yeah, so basically the chapter 23 and 24 kind of could have been one full episode. They kind of split it up into 2 weeks, but the way chapter 23 ended and then chapter 24 just began, it basically was a cohesive story, a final two episode, if you would say. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. Um, I thought we had some good action going there. We had a lot of flight battle with the Mandalorians and the jetpack troopers. Um, it was pretty amazing. So pulling up another image shot of the screen right now. I think I'm trying to. There we go. Here we go. I think it's going through. Yeah, awesome. Um, so yeah, a lot of really cool um, battles going through. With Bo-Katan, Armor, all the other Mandalorians. Battling with the jetpacks, just kind of flying through the base there on Mandalore. I think that was really cool. I thought that was some good action shots there. It very very well fast paced. This episode was moving from action shot to action shot. Not a lot of story. I know I've heard other people say that they really do like the story elements of the episodes, and I do too. I really dive into that. That's why I think I liked Andor so much. So when it gets down to this end and it's just action packed the entire time, I think it's just packing in all that into these final two episodes was just a little too much for me anyway. So I'd like to see a little bit more story go through, and just like maybe half of an episode be a climactic part of it. But that's just me. Patrick's saying, I want to know what happens between now and episode 7. Why were no Mandalorian ships in Exegol? I now have questions about that since Bo has reclaimed the planet. So I'm honestly, so like, as far as time period goes, we still got a lot of storytelling to go here. So um, I mean, I have a feeling that's gonna get answered eventually, but there's a lot of time period I think that's left in between in between there. So there could be a lot of reasons for that. So uh, I have a feeling that will get answered, but there's just so much play in time going through there that I think we don't have to worry about that um, anytime soon. So um, yeah, their armor smashing troopers. Yeah, with that hammer and that um, kind of like claw like tongs or whatever she has as well. I mean, we were joking about that the other day that everybody else has got the blasters and the dark saber and everything else, and armor is just like wailing through with the hammer, which is pretty cool. Kind of gave her that like Thor like aspect. She was just, and man, really awesome. I was loving the armor. I was really glad to see that she ended up turning out not to be a bad guy. I still think there's something going on with that character that we just don't have a full reveal of that character yet. As far as who the armorer actually is, I think that's a question that possibly will get answered later on, and it may be somebody from the past that maybe we haven't seen in a long time, maybe. And I think that's going to be brought up in the future. I think it's going to almost get to the point where we're going to kind of maybe forget about asking that question of who the armorer is, and then there's going to be some reveal of who that character is underneath that helmet. So that's my thoughts anyway, as far as the armorer goes. I still think there's something going on with that character. Couple other awesome things with this episode that I thought were pretty amazing. The scene with nope, not what I wanted to bring up. Not yet. Sorry about that. Getting a little ahead of myself there. No, not that one. Yeah, sure, we'll go to this one. We'll just throw this one up here real quick. There we go. Why did Gideon's helmet have similar horns? Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that was kind of a throwback to the Maul Death Watch Mandalorians. There's a lot of similarities between that. I haven't gone back and watched it, but I'm pretty sure like those Mandalorians when Maul was ruling Mandalore, a lot of similarities with some of the Death Watch during that time period. Is kind of like the play on why Gideon's looked that way. I don't know, maybe he was pulling off of that vibe. But I love the scene where I didn't have like a screenshot of it, but I love the scene where Din Djarin was at the energy gates, and R5 was releasing the energy gates one by one, and Din was kind of like going. It was almost like, it seemed to me it was almost like a video game. Like if you play video games and you get like to the next level, Din Djarin like starting out with like no weapons, and he gets R5 to open up that first energy gate to get him to those first troopers, and then he takes them out. He upgrades with a little bit of weapons, and then he gets to the next energy gates and he goes through. And I thought that was a really cool fight scene, going through and through. A lot of hand-to-hand combat in the beginning, and then as he kept like upgrading his armor, getting to the end there, or upgrading his weapons, getting to the end there. I thought that was like probably like one of my favorite parts of the fight scenes, honestly, in the whole entire episode, was that progressive fight scene through the energy gates. And then that cool little side story of R5 kind of cutting back to him as he's opening the gates, and then the mouse droids coming in, and then like kind of all the mouse droids like ganging up on R5. I had a little like talk earlier about how like the mouse droids are one of my favorite little side droids in the Star Wars universe, and always love to see more mouse droids as much as we can, and that's one thing that I think we should have it in be able to purchase in droid builders is mouse droids, and be able to have our little mouse droids that we can remote control around our homes and wherever we go. I'd love to see people bring back mouse droids onto the Star Cruiser and be zooming those around along with all the other droids. So I was looking for it again today. I was saying that I have the mouse droid popcorn bucket from Hollywood Studios. I have no idea where that thing is. And I know I got it like last year, but I have no idea where it is. I was looking for that earlier, so it's somewhere in here. But I put it somewhere. I have no idea where that thing is. But I love a good mouse droid. So that was one of probably my favorite parts of the episode, was that scene. Not sure about anybody else. And then of course you had the Bo-Katan versus Gideon fight. Starting off first with Din Djarin battling him, and then Grogu in IG-12, I guess they were calling it, because it's kind of an upgrade where Grogu is in IG-12, basically getting pulled aside with the Praetorians into a different room, and Din kind of wanting to go, protect him and save him. And then Bo-Katan shows up and basically, tells him, "Go help Grogu. I got Gideon." And then unfortunately, I was just really hoping that Bo-Katan would just kind of had a little bit more being able to handle Moff Gideon. Honestly, I feel it just was a little bit overly one-sided. I was hoping for a little bit more from Bo-Katan with that one, but we got a kind of a surprise with the Darksaber being crushed. So no more Darksaber, I guess, unless it gets rebuilt. But which I don't know. I have this feeling that it could show up again, that it could get rebuilt, but I don't think it's necessary. I think maybe that's why they kind of got rid of it. Is just that's it. The Darksaber has basically been shown as it really doesn't need to be wielded to show that you have the right to rule Mandalore. So I think Bo-Katan's kind of solidified that she's been able to bring everybody together. So I don't think there's a question of that. I think she is going to be the ruler of Mandalore going forward, or the bringing back of all the prosperity to Mandalore, or whatever you want to say, as far as recapturing the planet and leading them back to the fore, as far as being united again. So yeah, I don't think it's needed to have the Darksaber back, but we'll see what happens there. We had the battle going on over the planet, which I got a screenshot up right now with the Star Cruiser up there, and basically it getting to the point where as the battles are going on with Mandalorian, the Praetorian Guards, Grogu, Moff Gideon, Bo-Katan, all them down in the base, you have this battle going on up in the planet's orbit, basically with the Star Cruiser basically getting taken down by all the interceptors and the bombers and so forth. I liked the Din Djarin and Grogu versus the Praetorian Guards. I'm still feeling. I've always felt that the whole Grogu Yoda species fight scenes are kind of corny a little bit. Just the way that they jump around. It's kind of funny. You want to have a serious fight, and you kind of can't but smile and laugh when those fight scenes are happening, because of the way that they have to have him kind of jump around to keep up with the different height differences between whoever they're fighting. So kind of that way with the Praetorian Guards, but I liked it a lot more so when Din Djarin was in the fights with the Praetorian Guards and Grogu was kind of the support, basically just using the Force anytime they looked like they were gonna have him. He would just use the Force to push him away or whatever. So that was a preference of mine as far as the fight scenes, as far as how they used Grogu. I just don't like to see Grogu jumping around, similar to kind of how Yoda was jumping around with the Dooku fight. Kind of just makes me laugh a little bit. Patrick saying, "Were Praetorian Guards Force resistant?" Where I don't know where that may have been mentioned. I don't really think that was really mentioned anywhere. Even in The Last Jedi, when the Praetorian Guards kind of stepped in with Rey and Kylo, they never really did anything with. I mean, they never used the Force against them, but I don't remember them mentioning anything. I've never, even in side stories, I don't know if that's ever been mentioned that they've been Force resistant. My thoughts of the Praetorian Guards were they were kind of similar to what the Imperial Guards were for the Emperor, and they were just basically elite troopers, the highest of the troopers. That's what I always thought, at least when I remember reading some of the Legends comics and the Legends books. explaining the Imperial Guard, which I think the Praetorian Guards were kind of um, like an offspring of that. My thoughts were that they were basically just very, very elite troopers, like the highest trained. Like that was the rank that, if you got into the Emperor's ring, as far as being his like secret service almost, you would kind of like compare it to that. Um, you were very well trained, and in combat, you just didn't see them because you knew who they were, so they didn't have to fight as much. Purge troopers are force resistant in Fallen Order. The Purge troopers, are they? I'm giving them stats they don't actually have. Purge troopers, they were force resistant. I don't know. I played the game and I just never really thought of them being as force resistant. I thought of their weapons being like lightsaber, being able to take a lightsaber, but like I never thought of them being actual force resistant. And it's hard to tell with like video games because they're always going to make different level characters harder to beat. So is it that saying that they're force resistant, or is it just saying that they're harder characters to beat? That's Did it actually say that they're force resistant in Fallen Order, like in the bios, like when you collect like the descriptions of them? I didn't read. I don't didn't really like read them like in detail and like slow to like make sure I got everything about. Thought it did. I'll have to look into that. I'm not really sure, but I would say that like I wouldn't take it for granted that just because like what a video game has and Fallen Order, I mean, I guess they're kind of considering it canonized a little bit, but not. We haven't really seen a crossover as much with the video games and the live action yet. I have a feeling that is kind of down the road, though, that I'll start to eventually see stuff like that more tied in. But yeah, I mean, the Praetorian Guards, from what I know, are not force resistant. That's not, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I'm not the end all of knowledge. So, but yeah. So once we had Gideon basically Djarin and Din Djarin, and once they defeated the Praetorian Guards, Din Djarin came back in. Him and Bo-Katan fighting Moff Gideon. They still could barely handle him, but yeah, it was neat to be able to see the. Gotta get some shut eye. All right, thanks for joining, Patrick. Appreciate you so much for joining this afternoon, and yeah, have a great night. Thanks for all the comments. We see the battle cruiser, basically getting destroyed, and it basically being steered into the base and basically almost taking out Gideon in the process. Grogu using the Force to protect Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, kind of with that like Force shield in a sense, kind of like what he did in the first season when they were in the cantina on Navarro, or the bar, or whatever you want to call it, when the flame troopers came in and Grogu protected Din Djarin at that point as well. Of course, he's grown a little bit more in his powers, so he doesn't actually, go unconscious. He just basically falls to the ground afterwards, and a little bit of exhaustion, but not as much as what he used to. So he's definitely growing in the Force in that way. So yeah, so we saw that. What else did we get in this episode? We had a couple other things. Let's see here. Oh yeah, this one. This is a good one. The scene where we finally realized what these clones were all about. This was pretty awesome. Finding out that really Moff Gideon the whole time was cloning himself. So that was pretty interesting. It kind of one of those things that I kind of figured out in the last episode, that was probably going to be the case, especially when he was with that shadow collective of other Imperial officers, and they were kind of explaining the cloning. You could tell that maybe they're all interested in that a little bit, but all of them have different motives for the cloning. And at that point in time, I realized that Moff Gideon was not cloning the Emperor. He was not involved in that part of the cloning process. My thoughts are that Hux is involved in that process. I think that Thrawn is also interested in cloning, but I think that may come into play with possibly cloning Jedi as well, but maybe in a way that we saw in the old Thrawn series, and maybe they're going to bring back some of that old story. So if you know that story, you know what I'm talking about. If not, I would encourage you to go back and read those books because they're amazing. The original Timothy Zahn series of Heir to the Empire and so forth. So pretty cool with the cloning of the Jedi's and so forth. So yeah, so maybe we'll see something like that on the Thrawn side, maybe with Ahsoka. We'll start seeing some things with that. But yeah, Moff Gideon was not cloning. I thought he was actually cloning like my thoughts were he was basically just going to be cloning like force sensitive troopers or something like that, but not really himself, but just clones with force sensitivity. So, but it was actually him, and which makes me think that there's a possibility that he's not actually the one that was destroyed. Maybe that was a clone of him, and he was actually somewhere behind the scenes. It just seemed to me like his defeat was a little bit easy. We didn't really see him actually die. So, yeah, so either he's not dead and he's going to be back with some scars, or that was not him at all and that was a clone, and we'll actually see him come back. So we'll see what happens with that. But I don't think that we've seen the last of Moff Gideon. I think that Thrawn's going to take him out, if anything, because he's just going to fail Thrawn too many times. So, but we'll find out. I'm sure. I think it's not. I think it's going to be a while. I don't think he's going to be showing up in Ahsoka. So I think that's going to be a little bit before we see that. And then we had this really cool, kind of final scene happen with, kind of Din Djarin just kicking back here, right? On Navarro with Grogu out there. There was another scene where Din Djarin actually goes to that New Republic little outpost, and he basically offers his services to the New Republic, kind of like a mercenary a little bit, maybe even a ranger, if you know where I'm getting with that. Obviously we were supposed to have a series at some point, Rangers of the New Republic, with Gina Carano as the lead character, and that did not come into play. My thoughts are that those stories that were intended for that series are going to be the next series for Din Djarin and Grogu. Whether that be the Mandalorian, or maybe they actually still use the series name as Rangers of the New Republic and have Din Djarin as the lead character in that series. I think it could go either way. I would love it if actually they did it that way, where it was still Rangers of the New Republic and basically just replacing Gina Carano with Din Djarin, and basically having him take over as the Ranger of the New Republic, and whoever else was supposed to be in that series with him. Whether it be, I think it would be really cool to have Zeb as one of the Rangers, and maybe some other people, maybe even, yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure who else I'd want in that series. There's a couple people they could throw in there with that. Um, which would lead to what is going to be season 4 of The Mandalorian. Is this the end of the story arc for Din Djarin as the Mandalorian title character? He is still a Mandalorian, but is this kind of like a transition for the Mandalorian and who the main character of the Mandalorian series is going to be? Because I think it was once said, and I'm pretty sure I read this somewhere, or I heard it somewhere, where Jon Favreau basically said that the Mandalorian could be anybody, really. They could keep that series going kind of forever with a different main character. And I'm pretty sure I heard that before. Don't know where, but I kind of compare it to like Doctor Who, and like it's a different character. It's the same character, but it's a different character, and you can still pass it off. I think the Mandalorian's kind of the same way because it's the Mandalorian. There's a lot of Mandalorians now that we've seen that, and I think that any Mandalorian can take that lead spot. So, for instance, now that Bo-Katan has solidified herself as the ruler of Mandalore or the leader of Mandalore, would she be considered the Mandalorian now? As far as could she take and carry the series in a season 4? I think she can. I think that would be amazing. I think it would put a really big spin on the whole Mandoverse. Um, and we could pick up after Ahsoka with a totally different focus on where the Mandalorian and where Din Djarin is going, possibly with the Rangers of the New Republic. Um, and who knows what's going to happen with another series of Book of Boba Fett. We never got any announcement with that. As far as the season 2 or where Fett is going to come back into play with the Marshal as well. There's a lot of other characters out there that we still need to figure out stories and where they're going, and how Skeleton Crew ties in and so forth in this whole Mandoverse. So a lot of questions still out there. But next is going to be Ahsoka. I don't think Mandalorian's showing up in Ahsoka. I think there's going to be a big old rest with that. I think Ahsoka is going to focus on Ahsoka and the Rebels characters and bringing those back into the fold. And yeah, I think it's going to end pretty powerful with Thrawn making a big appearance in some of the last episodes. I don't know if it's going to be early on. I know that a lot of times, especially with The Mandalorian, what we saw in the trailers and so forth are usually pretty much everything we saw takes us through maybe the first couple of episodes, but I just don't feel that Thrawn is going to be shown too early. I think we're going to have to wait to see action from him. And there's going to be, some of the characters that we saw in the trailers that Ahsoka's going to have to deal with first before she gets to Thrawn or we get to see Thrawn. So, also we saw that IG-11 is back, so it looks like he was, fixed by the Anzellans on Navarro, and he is now back on Navarro. So that'll be cool to have him back as well at some point. So, Mandalorian to wrap. We have no new content coming out next week. Or no, wait a minute. No new content coming out this week. We have a week off. Next week we have May the 4th, which we have a bunch of things coming out with Star Wars Visions Volume 2, as well as Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures, as well as the Gaia soundtrack. We can't forget the Gaia soundtrack. So we got a lot of content coming out next week. But nothing coming out this week. So nothing to review for next week, for this week coming out. So we'll have a little bit of extra time next week. So let me just kind of go through and get rid of some of the stuff that I have up here. And yeah, so let's talk about some of the releases for Mandomania this week. I'm going to go ahead and pull up that because this was all released today on StarWars.com. As far as Mandomania, and some of the releases coming out today. So one of the first reveals was this Mandalorian Fleet Commander, a Star Wars Black Series figure from Hasbro. So as seen in Season 3, Black Series, this is a pretty cool, kind of generic, I think. But if you are a Mandalorian collector, I think this is a good figure to get. So available for pre-order starting April 26th. So that would be tomorrow. Tomorrow you can start pre-ordering that. A Funko Pop reveal. A super deluxe, basically Mandalorian in the N1 Starfighter with Grogu. Also, it's an Amazon exclusive. So, so basically now the Clan of Two, which has been solidified. Also, that was something that took place going to the mines of Mandalore and bathing in the waters. Din Djarin officially adopted Grogu as his son, so he could be graduated to apprentice, which was another reveal at the end of Mandalorian Season 3. So, pretty cool. Again, I'm not the biggest Funko Pop fan. I wouldn't get something like this. I think that's just not my cup of tea, but for those Funko fanatics, it's out there. Another reveal with Homesick. I've never heard of this company before, but it looks like they make candles. The Bounty and the Rescue candles. Curious as what the smells of these are. You can't really tell, but interesting to know what that would smell like. What do these smell like? But basically, I like the artwork on the boxes. Pretty cool. But they're scents inspired by the episodes and worlds of the Mandalorian. So interesting. You can start purchasing these May the 4th. So that's something. Lego, if you're a Lego fan, you got Lego Star Wars Mandalorian, the Fang Fighter, versus Lego Star Wars TIE Interceptor. So kind of going on this final battle in the Mandalorian Season 3 final episodes there. Looks like you've got a couple of figures that come with this as well. And this is a full pack, so you got like 2 different vehicles as well as 4 characters in this set. You got, and then the Mandalorian comes with this, still with the Darksaber in hand, even though by the end of the episode he does not have that anymore. The Mandalorian Fleet Commander, of which we just saw the Black Series figure. TIE Pilot minifigure, as well as an R2E6 droid. R2E6 droid comes with that as well. And then for undergarments, MeUndies has some Star Wars by MeUndies, celebrating this galaxy far, far away with some Grogu prints. Releases for men, women, and pets. So pets get some under MeUndies as well. You can sign up for first access on site today, and they're available for purchase starting May the 2nd. So none of that's like really big for me. So don't think I'll be jumping on any of that anytime soon. But if any of that sticks out at you, go ahead and head over to StarWars.com for more information on that, and you can find those items and some links to those items, I'm sure. So, all right. So that is enough for the Mandalorian. So now let's get into my crucial character pick of the month. My crucial character pick of the month. This is something that I've been doing almost since the beginning of me doing this live podcast. Ever since I kind of started, I wanted to do like crucial character picks from the movies. So this is my 8th pick because I was doing like one a month podcast, and then I just started then I was doing 2 a month, and then I started doing them once a week. But I'm still only doing like a pick once a month. So like that's been a thing that I've been doing. I might start doing more picks a month. After I finish up getting through the Skywalker saga, I might go back and revisit, as well as continue to do some picks for some other movies and so forth. But so I'm up to The Last Jedi, so episode 7, and my crucial character pick of the month for The Last Jedi. Again, my character that I pick is usually a character that does not have many lines, or if any lines, in the movie. And they may have had some merchandise made available, but in this case, this month, this character has not even had any merchandise ever made for him. And yeah, not a lot of screen time, not a lot of things said by this character, not a lot known about this character as far as side stories, backstories. So who am I talking about anyway? So I know The Last Jedi is not everyone's favorite film, first off. And one of the reasons why The Last Jedi is not a lot of individuals' favorite films is because of the Canto Bight scene, right? Everybody kind of feels like that story was really not really that necessary. The one thing I do love about the Canto Bight scene, though, is it makes for some great cosplay ideas, especially for being on the Star Cruiser. There are a lot of passengers that come on the Star Cruiser, and you can tell they're cosplaying up Canto Bight. And my actual character pick comes from Canto Bight, in the Canto Casino, and it is none other than this character right here. And it is the strapping man in the white blazer. That would be the Master Codebreaker. I love the look of the Master Codebreaker. Now, originally it was not supposed to be a humanoid at all. The original intention was, I believe, it was going to be a droid. So that didn't come to play. Justin Theroux actually ended up playing the part of the Master Codebreaker, which was who Finn, Poe, and Rose were told to find by Maz Kanata. Maz, when the Superstar Destroyer had a lock on the Rebel fleet, the Resistance fleet, and they could not escape them because they were tracking them through hyperspace. They were trying to figure out how to get out of that, and the only way that was going to be possible was to be able to get on the ship, and they needed some sort of Master Codebreaker to be able to basically hack the ship in a way and get that kind of that tie to the hyperspace tracking disconnected. So Maz Kanata actually recommended going to find the Master Codebreaker. She basically said that he's a Master Codebreaker, an ace pilot, a poet with a blaster. So when you see him, you kind of get this James Bond vibe when you do see him. There's also a couple of side-by-sides online if you go back and watch Temple of Doom, the beginning of Temple of Doom, Harrison Ford, and the way he looks in Club Obi-Wan. You kind of get the same look as the Master Codebreaker. So they were kind of maybe playing off of that a little bit in the way he looked as like an homage to Indiana Jones in there. So so Finn and Rose, as well as BB-8, went to go find this Master Codebreaker on Canto Bight. They made visual of him, but before they could actually contact him, they were apprehended by the Canto Bight police because of them landing their ship on the beach of Canto Bight, which was illegal. So Maz basically gave them that description, which they saw. They knew it was him. They said, "You'll find him with a red plum bloom on his lapel, and he would be rolling at a high stakes table in the casino on Canto Bight," which is exactly where we saw him, what we saw him doing. So um, now when he saw the disturbance and Finn and Rose and getting arrested, he really thought of that as little consequence to anything that concerned him as far as that goes. So um, that's pretty much all we know about him as far as from the movie, um, because it ended up they ended up not being able to use him, but they found other means to be able to, which they thought was going to be able to help them out in their struggles with the First Order. So, yeah, one of those things where you're just like kind of curious about this guy. Well, where did he come from? Any background in him? Um, all of that. There's an interesting, and I guess it's a book. I didn't know anything, so I know that there's all these little like manuals that you can get. Like the Sith manuals, the Jedi Path, like all these little like kind of like journals that you can buy, where like every like people over the years have like written in them like over centuries and had little parts of their like stories like written in, and you get to hear a little bit from everybody concerning like a certain topic. And there is one for smugglers, which I didn't know, and it's called the Smuggler's Guide. And there's a lot of background on him in the Smuggler's Guide, apparently. So I kind of want to go back and like read through this a little bit. It tells some stories of the past from him because apparently the Master Codebreaker was in possession of this Smuggler's Guide at one point. He stole it from Kanji Club, and it talks about some times where he, had played with some arms dealers, causing them to decrease where their money was going, and because of that, they tried to poison him, tried to kill him, basically, but he was able to get away. So that was one of the things. He ended up going through some of the past submissions that, like Maz Kanata, because apparently Maz Kanata really was the start of the Smuggler's Guide because of her age and how long she's been around. And he kind of went through a lot of what she had put in the guide and revised a lot of the information as far as the different power syndicates of the time when he basically had the guide. So again, Maz Kanata being around for about 1,000 years, she has seen a lot of the power syndicates and so forth. So what she had, and when currently the Master Codebreaker had it, it was a lot different. So he kind of updated her information apparently in that Smuggler's Guide in there. Um, yeah, he talks about a lot of like uncovering certain secrets of the code book, maybe codes within the code book, and certain things. Um, and eventually he ended up basically wanting to get it back to Maz Kanata, so he kind of sent it back on course by placing it hidden in the Millennium Falcon. But unfortunately, that fell into the hands uh, of Duquesne, who basically had took the Falcon from Han Solo. Now, because of his skills and how how he was known, he was actually forbidden from electronic entertainment, which is why you see him at a dice table on Canto Bight. So he was only allowed to partake in these dice games, but he was still very skilled. Obviously, as you can see in that picture, all the credit chips in front of him. So apparently, that didn't stop him from still, you know, doing good. Again, there's no real big stories or focused main stories on him. I'd like to see a little bit more about him, maybe even him show up in some comics would be pretty cool. Um, who knows? We could maybe even see him in some side stories. Maybe even show up a younger version of him in some of these Mandalorian Mandoverse series or whatever. That would be interesting. I like this character. Again, very James Bondish, but a smuggler, a gambler, uh, uh, kind of that suave. Uh, Debonair type person. So I like him. I think it's an interesting character. I'd like to see a little bit more. I'd love to see an action figure or something made from him. Maybe even like a Funko Pop or something of him. So maybe we'll get something like that down the line. But as of this point, there is no merchandise of the Master Codebreaker that I know of, anyway. And that is my crucial character pick of the month from The Last Jedi. So maybe you agree, maybe you like that character, maybe you thought that character stood out to you. But if not, that's okay. Again, try to pick these minor characters and just kind of dive into these ones a little bit. So, but I definitely thought there's always a lot of interesting characters in these cantinas or casinos, and I really like to learn a lot about them. And he is one of the ones that obviously stood out because he was the reason why they went to Canto Bight, was to find him, and they found him, but unfortunately they could not make contact with him. So I just thought that was a very interesting character to kind of learn a little bit more about as far as The Last Jedi goes. So now the last thing that kind of wanted to kind of play up on is some of the sponsorship, some of the licensing that happens with Star Wars, and it kind of got brought up a little bit because of a couple different reasons. Today, we had a couple things happen today. So first off, a little bit of what happened in. Well, I mean, I saw this on Star Wars.com, which was pretty neat. And actually, I saw this at Star Wars Celebration also. Um, Past couple years, and they even did this in Anaheim. They had these campaigns and marketing with Volkswagen and some of the series. So last year in Anaheim, for the Obi-Wan series, they did a Volkswagen marketing mashup with Obi-Wan and Volkswagen. And they had this on display there, and they had a commercial that was released and so forth with the Mandalorian or with Obi-Wan Kenobi. But this year, and I didn't really look in. I like saw this like area of the floor at Celebration London. I didn't really look at the Volkswagen um, vehicle. But kind of looking at the pictures of it, I kind of wish I did now because it looks really cool. It's got that like Beskar look to it, um, and you can see, especially what was it? That's really cool. The window, the decal on the window with the mud horn. I thought that was really cool, and then the mud horn symbol in the rim there is really cool, and I love the bottom part that basically has like the yellow. It's like it almost looks like it's damaged, which is really neat. So, um, yeah. So there's they even had like a TV spot as well, but yeah. So like those campaigns, that's always been a big thing with marketing with Star Wars and kind of mashups and uh, I mean, you can see behind me, I got like the fruit snacks and Kellogg's, Star Wars, and so forth, and all sorts of things. Pez dispensers. I got a lot of the crazy stuff as well over the years, but it kind of like led me into looking at some other things that have happened as well. So One of those things that actually also kind of brought to my attention a little bit today was the anniversary of one of these little marketing promos that was done, and it was in 1979. Today in 1979, and it had to do with the Bib Company. And if you're not aware of the Bib Company and what they did with Star Wars, they were a Star Wars licensee of bedwares and linens, and you may have had some of the bedwares and linens. I had bedwares and linens, Empire Strikes Back ones. I did not have the ones that I'm about to talk about or show, but that they were basically advertising at this time, April 25th, 1979. But there was an appearance from Darth Vader and Boba Fett, making a private appearance at the Bib Company, basically um, getting ready for promoting um, these new sheets for Empire Strikes Back that wouldn't air for another year later. But yeah, they were starting on this marketing. So some of the things that we had was these bed sheets. So if you had these bed sheets, pretty awesome. I thought I had these, but then when I'll show you some of the other pictures, definitely did not have them. So because these are completely different than what I remember. But you can see C3PO, R2D2, Vader, Boba Fett, Han and Leia on here. The Empire Strikes Back logo on there as well. Um, but see, when you roll these out, they're a lot bigger than what I thought they were. I thought they were like little prints, which is kind of what I had for my betting. But these are a lot bigger, and I don't remember this whole like Darth Vader helmet with Empire Strikes Back down like the bottom and so forth. So totally different. In this little shot, you can see some draperies and stuff, which I knew they had all that too. But I didn't have any of that. I just had bed sheets, but not these Empire Strikes Back bed sheets. So these are the original ones that were in 1979 that were actually released from the Bib Company. So not sure if you ever had these, but pretty cool looking. So I'll go and share a couple more pictures. I think I actually shared this one already. Yeah, this looks like I've done this one already. Let's see what else we got here. Let's go and we'll do this one. Yeah, this one I haven't done yet. Or yeah, sure, we'll do this one. So this one's pretty neat because this one actually has the kind of the price. It's like a newspaper ad from 1979, and it basically is talking about meeting the new villain. So they're like really promoting Boba Fett in these sheets. So it's funny. I love the prices. $4.99. New Star Wars designed by Bib. From the movie sequel, The Empire Strikes Back, Boba Fett is Darth Vader's right-hand man, which is pretty funny because he's not really at all. So Bib brings you a preview of the movie to be released next spring. So yeah, a year before. And they had twin sheets, pillowcases, draperies, blankets, twin bedspreads, bath towels, washcloths, all in these prints from The Empire Strikes Back. So pretty crazy, like all this stuff here. But I loved like some of the things how they like thought they knew what these characters were, and they were trying to, promote it in a way. Let's see here. This one's a different shot of some of the spreads and so forth. So they are two different type of. So one of them's a blanket, and one of them's, I guess, the sheets. So the bed sheets and the blankets look completely different, but they're very big. The pictures of the characters are very big on there, which I did not have this set at all. I did not have this set. I'm not sure if anybody remembers having these or if anybody still has them. That would be pretty amazing if you still have them. Maybe you've turned them into clothing. I know a lot of people do that these days as well. They'll look for this stuff and they'll turn them into clothing. But yeah, another couple of packaged versions of those. So pretty neat. Again, it was the anniversary of them kind of releasing that today. They did a promo. They had Darth Vader, Boba Fett come to the bib company and basically um, try to promote those. Now, this kind of got me set off on looking at a bunch of other merchandise over the years, and I kind of picked my like top five that I found, and I'm gonna go with them in order of like, you know, the craziest that I think I thought of that I found, at least in the past week that I've been like looking at stuff on the internet. Kind of like I'm going to count them down basically. Number one being just like, I can't believe this at all. And I'd never seen it before. And some of these I've seen before, some of them I haven't. But number five, I had already posted on my Instagram page, but I thought this was kind of funny. And this is the Wampa rug. um, the Wampa rug. I mean, that's kind of funny. Um, I can see my cats loving that, honestly, but I don't know. I would never put that out in the middle of it. I mean, this is apparently a Star Wars fan because you look in the. I mean, unless this was just like promotional and this is the magazine ad or wherever it was, but yeah, I thought this was really funny. So a Wampa rug, a Wampa rug. Would you buy a Wampa rug? I mean, not the craziest. I can see kids really liking that. I can see somebody getting their kids on that one. The next one. Okay, so this is. I've never been a fan of people dressing up their animals. I don't know. I would never do that. And this just takes it to a new level. So here we got this poor little collie here with the Bantha and Tusken Raider costume for your dog. Oh, that poor dog. I mean, look at that dog. That dog's just like, get this thing off of me now. Um, ugh, it's just crazy. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. I would never do that to my pet. I mean, look at that dog. That dog just looks so uncomfortable. I feel so bad for that dog. Yeah. So, people, why do you buy these things? Why do you do these things? Why do they make these things? Honestly, it just promotes people to do. I think it's just almost like abuse to me. All right, the next one. This is where we start getting really crazy. So this is from episode one. Looks hilarious. Um, it's like tongue candy, a Jar Jar Binks tongue candy. Um, yeah, I don't know. How do you eat that and not look like it gets like, just wrong? Oh my goodness, Jar Jar. Um, yeah. So Jar Jar Binks tongue. Yeah, ew, right? Ew. Am I right? So yeah, what do you think of that? I don't even know. I don't even know how you would like. eh, Yeah, certain things that merchandise you just don't get. I just don't get it. But yeah, let's get that one off of there. So okay, so I got two more. So the next one, it was tough for me to pick out of these last two, like what the craziest merch was out of these last two, honestly. But yeah, I'm gonna put this one up there because I had never seen this one before. My last one I've seen before, and my last one is my favorite. But this one I've never seen before, and this one boosted way up there, and I almost picked this one as like, this is crazy, probably my favorite thing that I've ever seen because I never knew this existed, um, and I kind of like just would love to get my hands on this just to have it. I don't know. Oops, my bad. So yeah, didn't know this existed. Slave Leia perfume. I mean, look at the bottle. Look at the bottle. The bottle looks really cool, honestly. Like I would actually love to have this. Um, just because of the bottle. I mean, and like the coloring, with the chain around the, it looks really cool. But they would never get away with this today. This would just never happen today. This is one of those things that came out at a certain time, and that ain't never seeing the light of day. Whoever has this, I don't know when this came out, but apparently somebody was trying to sell this. Um, but yeah, Slave Leia perfume. Never knew that existed. Not sure if anybody else knew that existed, but crazy. All right, so my number one. My number one. Oh my gosh, I love this one. I love this one. So I remember seeing this one when I went to go see Anthony Daniels live. Yeah, where was this? I want to say it was in Chicago. I'm pretty sure it was in Chicago. It could have been Anaheim, but I'm pretty sure it was Chicago because I think it was when Warwick Davis was with him, which I think was the Chicago one. Could have been Orlando, honestly. Could have been that far back that I saw this. But this I cracked up at, and I came across this again, and I was just like, if I could find this somewhere one day, I would totally use this every day. um, C3PO tape dispenser. And I just love where they put the tape. It's just great. And look at his face. It's like when you go and pull the scotch tape, you're like, he's just like, oh. I love it. It's great. Oh my goodness. I remember like when Anthony Daniels, well, I can't remember what, it was a panel and they were actually going through all the really weird C3PO merchandise over the years. And this was one of the ones that they showed. It almost looks like it's porcelain, but like just the way the paint is on there looks like it's like porcelain. I don't think it was. It's probably plastic, but like they made it like have this shine, but right, they are twisted, right? It's so funny to look at some of the merchandise. But kind of like the reason why I got back into like looking at this again, one of the reasons was this year going to one of the panels that kind of cracked me up at Celebration was going to one of Holly Fry's panels um, with her one of her Full of Sith co-hosts, and they did like trailer park. They did a bunch of trailers, and like some of them were actual trailers of the films, but some of them were like TV spots for licensing tie-ins and so forth. And they had a lot of weird Star Wars like twists to some of these like ads, and some of them were commercials for certain foods and so forth, and they were from other countries like Japan and everything. And just seeing those kind of brought back like memories of like this other merchandise, and I just kind of wanted to like find some of that, just like share some of the more favorite. And honestly, I started off with the C3PO one and a bunch of others, but in my like search for the other photographs, I came across those other ones, and the Slave Leia one just floors me, and they would never get away with that today. Never get away with that today. Which is kind of the same thing. Like there were some other ones that they showed like trailers, in the trailer park panel that are like, yeah, they wouldn't be able to do that today. So it's fun to go back but if you ever have time, look up George Lucas Japanese commercials from way back in the day. There's some pretty interesting ones, like with him meandering through wheat fields with tons of Star Wars characters, and it's some weird stuff. but it's a lot of fun. Thank you for joining in a little bit, Heroes of the Halcyon. I'm actually just about done here tonight, but appreciate those of you that joined in tonight. Patrick was always amazing today, and Heroes of the Halcyon joining in again. I will see you guys next week because we are 1 week away from our muster meetup. So can't wait to see everyone next week at the muster meetup, and we're gonna have a lot of fun there, and we're gonna do a lot of good as well. So yeah, big thumbs up to that. Big thumbs up to that. Again, appreciate everyone that watches and listens later. I know Patrick also he subscribed to the channel also today, which I really appreciate that. Yeah, so keep a watch out. I don't know when I'm going to do this next week because obviously next Tuesday I'm going to be at the muster meetup. So you'll see some posts from me on the Instagram. So follow me on my Instagram, the Crucial Crew member. But other than that, I might move this to Monday next week. So I might do this a day early next week or a day later. So it'll either be Monday or Wednesday. We'll see what happens. Yeah, so most likely Monday. We're gonna shoot for Monday, kind of like a kickoff to the week, the May the 4th week, and yeah. So again, thank you for joining in. Please like, subscribe if you watch this later and you enjoy the Space Host podcast. Again, I am the Crucial Crew member, Jay. Have a great night, and may the stars light your way.